Bitcoin right now is absolutely pumping sideways, big time after a rejection off of its first tip touch of the 21 daily moving average since falling below it back on April 12th. But what if I told you that what's about to happen next to Bitcoin isn't just extremely big, it's very extremely mega big. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is still ranging. It's been ranging and just trading in this same range sideways for the past 2 months. What if I told you that this perfect storm of price sidewaysness is about to turn into something that you will never forget? So if you love gainers, pumpers, dumpers, and everything in between, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to BINGX or BINGX below if you're my Bitcoin or altcoins. And without any further ado, let's absolutely dump into this chart where Bitcoin has just been trading sideways, right? Just completely ranging. If we zoom out and we look at this, we have just been doing what Bitcoin does best, sitting in a box. And in fact, I am also in the middle of building a box, a greenhouse box, because I'm on a mission to grow extremely hot peppers. You're talking Ghost, I'm talking Carolina, I'm talking Scorpion, I'm talking about the hottest peppers you could ever imagine. So before we get into the video, maybe if you have any recommendations on growing the hottest peppers known to man, which is my goal, maybe leave some recommendations in the comments. But without any further ado, let's absolutely dump into this, where Bitcoin right now actually just got rejected off the 21-day moving average over the last few days, the beginning and middle of this week. And we had that rejection more so on Wednesday the 24th. We got a pretty big rejection. But something actually big is happening. If we look on the daily chart for Bitcoin as well, Bollinger Bands still extremely tight. We have still not gotten this bullish cross on this MACD that we got very close to on Tuesday, right? We were about to have those tips touch, okay? But you know what they say? The first time the tips touch is never a good thing, okay? But anyway, we're getting close to having the second tip touch and potentially, when we see this thing really start to swing for momentum, pretty much get your shorts ready, because we're not short positions like your physical shorts that you're wearing, because things are about to be insane in terms of price pumpiness. But obviously we would need to break that 21-day moving average first, which we have so far just gotten rejected off of. Now, I want to actually take a step back here. So NestAXBT on Twitter tweeted this. The fractal that has been guiding us for the third cycle suggests a top is possible in Bitcoin as early as August. Whoa. Are you telling me that it's potentially the case that Bitcoin let's actually zoom into this, could be initiating a top as early as August of this year? Because if that is realistic, if that's a possible scenario, what that means is that we could see a top within Bitcoin in the next couple of months. Now, that absolutely would fit further in line with a left translated cycle, and it would absolutely, let's be honest, it would absolutely catch a lot of people off guard. If you heard me say that, if you heard me say what this tweet says, that potentially Bitcoin might top in just 3 or 4 months, a lot of you are probably listening to that thinking, that's a bunch of baloney. Are you kidding me? That's dumb. You might even be thinking, that's stupid. But is it? It's absolutely possible. And now if Bitcoin tops out, that doesn't necessarily mean that altcoins top out. Maybe altcoins run a little bit after Bitcoin tops out, which is most likely the case, period, in general. I mean, you look at a Bitcoin dominance chart, right? Bitcoin ended up, like the cycle top for Bitcoin was back in about November of 2021. And if we go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, what was Bitcoin doing back in November of 2021? Bitcoin had some dumping to do, right? This was when Bitcoin topped out, but then it ultimately dumped a fair amount in terms of dominance. It pumped back up towards the summer of 2022. And exactly also the much bigger thing was here in January 2021. From January 2021 to May 2021, Bitcoin dominance went from over 70% to about 40%, okay? From the beginning of January to about 4 months later in May of 2021. Well, if we go to that, that was right about here. This whole range, Bitcoin just traded sideways, right? At the top, it just traded sideways, but altcoins exploded. And that's evidenced by this massive drop, right? If you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you see this massive drop in that 4-month period, but then you look at the weekly chart and it's just trading sideways and you think, well, that's kind of crazy. Well, that's exactly what happens. Bitcoin trades sideways when it tops, and then altcoins blow up a lot. So, and then again, we had the second top, which is just a couple $1,000s higher than that. It was an interesting cycle, but it was a cycle that nobody really expected, and that's why I think it happened. Same thing here. This is possible. I'm not saying this is my base case, but I'm just saying this is a realistic possibility that maybe Bitcoin could top out in the next few months. Altcoins might run for a couple months after that, but then maybe the cycle either does what it always does, or maybe these institutional inflows and changes and differences of the actual, supply and demand of the market, and also more so just the institutional interest and involvement might change that. Or maybe, in my opinion, most likely is that we'll just get a typical bull to bear market, bull to bear market, which is what we've always seen. So all I'm saying is I think it's very realistic that, Bitcoin is literally just trading sideways here, just like it has in other cycles, but maybe we're about to actually see this massive explosion in price to the upside sooner than people expect, maybe higher than people expect, but also it might end higher than people expect. Okay, what is the number one pain scenario for a pump in this market? What is the number one bullish scenario that's the most painful for the most people? Is that we explode. We go up a lot. And that's where people start to get greedy, like always in a bull market. And then it ends up topping out and going down way earlier than most people expect. And almost nobody takes profit. That is the number one bullish pain scenario. And basically, if that happened in just the next few months, how many people would be caught off guard? A lot. I mean, I personally would probably be pretty shocked by that. I would be like, what the heck? This is crazy. But anyway, we also have this chart, Matthew Hyland talking about the S&P 500 attempting to actually make weekly bullish divergence. We look at the S&P 500. It has had a green week for the most part. It's been actually relatively a good week for the SPX, the first decent week since March, the middle of March, really. And so if the SPX gets back on track, I fully think Bitcoin has a higher chance of also getting bullish. But primarily consolidating in this range from 60,000 to about 65,000 or 66,000 is just the name of the game right now. And as long as we have daily closes above 60 and below 66, this is just pure sideways, pure ranging. Okay, we need some definitive daily closes above 60 below 60 or above 66 for this trend to change. And honestly, it looks like we could be seeing a bullish trend change in the short term soon, but we really need a confirmation with at least a couple of daily closes above 67,000 or about 66,000 right now. It's just a 21-day moving average. So depending on where that's at. But ultimately, Bitcoin dominance is something that we really should start watching more. Because, look at this chart also right now. Bitcoin did just have a little spike up. If we actually initiate Bitcoin's most explosive upside portion of this bull market, we will see another pretty explosive upside candle on the dominance chart. And so alts will still not pump for a little bit until Bitcoin most likely tops or reaches at least a significant range above its previous all-time highs, which is around 70K, or more specifically, 69K. Nice. Also, the DXY has been initiating a little pullback, but nothing significant really. It's kind of boring as well. Altcoins are just slowly bleeding out. I think that at this point, if you don't have altcoin positions, this is not a bad entry if you don't have positions. Let's look across the board right now. Ethereum's about 3,100. Matic's about 70 cents. ADA's about 46 cents. Solana's about $143. Link is about 14. XRP is perpetually at 50 cents for the rest of eternity. And then we get into some other smaller alts. These alts are historically not super expensive right now. We could absolutely have a one big drop that I've been, referring to potentially for a while. But honestly, if we look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin, it has been 4 weeks of kind of slow bleeding, which is one, very boring. Two, it does kind of shake people out in the sense they stop caring about crypto as much and they tune out a little bit, right? Look around the board. Like, people aren't tweeting as much, people aren't posting as much videos. Me specifically, because I'm building a greenhouse to grow insanely hot peppers, which is actually insanely cool, by the way. But then also, you know, people aren't getting as much views on their videos because everything's boring right now. It's just so boring. I've been looking at the chart 10%, 5% as much as I usually do. And that is honestly exactly the scenario we have before we have like really exciting moves. Basically, before things really get exciting, they need to get as boring as they possibly can be. That's just more so how it goes more often than not. If people are being honest with you, the crypto market is like 95% sideways, and then like a little percent of the time it explodes to the upside, and a little percent of the time it dumps massively to the downside. But like most of the time, it's just sideways. Most of the time, it's relatively boring. But as I've been saying, I think we are about to enter the most exciting, the most financially rewarding, exhilarating part of the cycle. And it could happen like that. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen in a month from now. But ultimately, I think that basically max pain scenario for this current consolidation, this current constructive price action needs to be maximum boringness, basically. And get signed up to BINGX or BINGX below if you buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without further ado, that's it for me.